Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Key Comic Flip Through. Today's episode, we're going to go over Amazing Spider-Man issue number 252, the first appearance of the black suit Spider-Man. So let's go ahead and get into this one. Released in 1984, there's a lot of controversy about first appearances of the suit. Of course, we have the origin over in Secret Wars number 8. Got that newsstand copy as well. Maybe one day I'll go over that, but the origin story is rather short, just maybe a page or two, a few panels, and this one is a little bit more exciting. So we're going to get into ASM 252. First off, that homage cover to Amazing Fantasy 15. I love that here. We're actually going to see kind of like these characters in the story. So again, another cover that actually portrays what goes on inside the issue itself. Amazing Spider-Man, the rumors are true, introducing the new Spider-Man. Who is the new Spider-Man? Let's get into this one right here. Actually met Ron Friends over in Huntsville back in 2023 and got him to autograph Best Wishes, Ron, over in the front page right here, because I was like, man, that cover is so iconic. I want you to sign old school style on that first page right there. Where are they? This is coming off of the Secret Wars Volume 1 storyline, and so a lot of our heroes are still missing. This is an interesting panel right here because, you know, they're trying to develop their headline for the Daily Bugle right now. Still no word on the missing heroes. It looks like comic box art, you know, so we have all these little headshots here. A little bit too flashy, they're saying right now. So he's not exactly enjoying what's going on in that flashy thing. And of course, the headline does not mention that pesky Spider-Man, and so we're kind of angry about that as well. There's some interesting dialogue inside of here that's worth reading, and there's some Scarlet Witch stuff and some other things in here, which I think is pretty cool. Interesting shading with the shadow right here too. It's got like this green hue to it, but we're going to go through and see what else is going on. But of course, we have Jonah here. He's pissed that Spider-Man's not to blame for all this, and he's quickly reminded that as long as he's not editor-in-chief, he can't say anything about that. So we're going to flash over to Central Park, where our heroes initially vanished. They're actually coming back right now. The machine that took them away is actually reappearing. Everyone's freaking out. And here comes Spider-Man. Here is our big splash page reveal. Him blowing through the area with Dr. Connors right here, Lizard Man. And so they actually are showing up on Earth first with the big giant words homecoming across the top, which is obviously an iconic meaning in Spider-Man lore nowadays, especially with the movies and stuff. And here we go with our credits down below as well. So he's busting through. Of course, people don't recognize him in the black suit, and the different reporters and cops and things like that, they don't exactly know who he is. This one cop here almost pulls on him too, almost draws down on him, but Spider-Man does the quick thing, does his whip, and gets that gun tied up right there just when the Avengers are popping in as well. And everybody recognizes the Avengers, but nobody recognizes Spider-Man in this black suit just yet. And so while they're distracted by the different Avengers, he's going to make his escape with Doc Connors, and they are going to get up into the trees where Peter has stashed some clothes right before he left. Unfortunately, some birds have nested in his clothes, and so he doesn't quite know what to do. He's going to leave his clothes there. They're ruined, essentially. But his suit, being very adaptive to his needs, actually kind of forms this pocket for his keys and his wallet and things like that, his camera. And so he's actually really surprised about how this suit can adapt to his needs, like subconsciously in a way. Very interesting shot right here. We got a nice groin shot where his belt would be, I guess. I don't know. But he's a little confused about how the suit actually works still, and we're going to experience a little bit of that in the later upcoming pages. Goes ahead and returns the Lizard, returns Doc back home to his family, who is awfully worried about him. He's doing the good deeds, things like that. We hope that he can get the help he needs. Hopefully he's going to be fine. But we have Peter arriving back home. You know, if you read Secret Wars, he didn't think he was ever going to make it home. All those people were stuck. The Beyonder had him controlled over on Battle World and everything. It was a crazy, crazy event, Secret Wars. And so he's just happy to be home. And a suit, again, here's another showcase of how adaptive it is. As soon as he lands, he shifts back in Peter Parker mode because he's back in the apartment of Peter Parker. So he switches back over into this all black suit. He's got like this black long sleeve shirt and these like black jeans and whatnot. And so he's thinking, oh man, I'm home. The suit knows I'm home. And so it's going to flip over for me. And oh my God, I've been gone for days. I gotta call Aunt May, let her know that I'm okay. So that's the first thing he does. So he still has his personality. He still has his caring personality, right? He's not like being corrupted by the suit at that moment. We're gonna see flashes of maybe heading in that direction later in this issue. But as of right now, the first thing he wants to do is call his aunt, make sure she's okay. And of course, she is perfectly fine right now. And the second thing he wanted to remember was he has to call Felicia Hardy as well, the black cat, just to make sure that she's okay, because he has some relationship building to do with her. And so he's going to try to give her a ring, but of course she's not around. What I like about this one though is Peter's usually described as somebody who really can't keep things together. He's not very conscientious and things like that, especially within his personal life. Maybe in his superhero life, he's holding things down a little bit more, but the first thing he does is he calls his aunt, he calls his girlfriend, tries to make things better. So it's maybe a little bit of a personality shift, not entirely sure. And then we have this panel here describing how hard of a time she's had lately and that he needs to help her and things like that. Unbeknownst to him, she's actually slipping into Peter's apartment and telling him, wanting to tell him that she's actually got some latent powers brought out in her, and the Kingpin is actually the one that's been helping her do that, and she's afraid that Kingpin's going to make her use her powers against Spider-Man, and so she's trying to find him to warn him, but looks like they just missed each other. They barely just crossed paths, and so we go on from there. Peter, of course, famished from being away from Earth, goes around, gets a couple of pizzas, talks about having extra green peppers. Tomorrow I'm having tacos for lunch and Chinese for dinner. So he's going all out trying to get that Earth cuisine because he is starving, noticing that, you know, everything is beautiful around him. He's got this like high of being home right now, and he's appreciating all the small things. Of course, now when he's eating dinner, he's reminded that bills are coming up, rent is due pretty soon. He needs to go out and start taking some pictures, and intuitively, again, right out of the groin, pops his camera. It's like, oh yeah, my camera, right. I have to go develop some film when we're over on Battle World, and maybe I can make a fortune doing that right here. But he's quickly reminded that, you know, conversations with the Fantastic Four and the other Avengers. Previously, they decided that they were not going to share this information with the world yet. They still had to analyze it, still had to review, you know, what was going on. They had to debrief still. Maybe the world's not quite ready for all of that just yet. So he decides to destroy the pictures, destroy the film, and you can see these little glimpses of anger in his eyes right here. He's actually crushing the film right here. And there's this great storytelling with this too, and the coloring, because he's in this dark room and everything is red. And so you can kind of see this like evilness perhaps creeping in, and you get little tiny glimpses of it that don't really go that far, that don't really go anywhere, but I think they're still being portrayed here. And so you see that, but he bounces back from that anger pretty quickly, saying like, man, okay, I just got home. I just filled my stomach up, man. Now I'm getting tired. I need to sleep. But of course he can't. He just has so much on his mind. I love this panel here because it's showing him in bed. It's showing him holding the pillow like angrily over his face. And of course, here's our suit draped across like the back of a chair over here. And we're going to see that suit kind of having a mind of its own yet again here in a moment. He can't sleep. He has to get up. Maybe he can like web sling around town, make him feel better, relax a little bit. And then the suit intuitively leaves the chair, kind of like a shadow creeps across the floor and grabs onto his leg and actually gets him ready for action. And it says, I'm ready for this. I'm ready for service like this, where it's like, hey, I can just get suited up immediately and start hitting the skyline. And so we get to see him flipping through, starting to mellow out a little bit. He comes across a mugging situation. There's like this business guy coming home. He kind of descends down from the alleyway to stop this mugging. Of course, they don't recognize him still as the black suit Spider-Man. So even the businessman is surprised and scared and runs away. And so he's like, wow, that was a little bit easier than I thought. This is great. But, you know, he was more terrified of me than he was the muggers. So I got to, you know, work on that a little bit. Of course, we're doing some more acrobatics, seeing if we have more enhanced powers than we did before, seeing if we can beat that long distance triple somersault jumping record now that we have this new ability, this new black suit giving us some additional powers. Comes across another couple who's arguing right here, very reminiscent of the couple on the cover over here. Of course, she wanted to go on some date with this guy. She wanted to go to a concert. He wasn't able to get tickets for the concert, and he hates the band anyway. So of course they get into this big argument, and Spider-Man, trying to give them a higher level of perspective, decides to pick them both up, take them across the city, put them on a higher playing field, you know, giving them that 10,000 foot view of the world. It's like, yeah, your problems are small and petty. There's a whole world here to get to know, to love, to cherish, things like that. And so you should probably broaden your scope a little bit, because that's exactly what Spider-Man had happen to him. You know, he was a local hero hanging out, and then all of a sudden he was wrapped up in this gigantic cosmic battle. And so he has a whole new perspective on life, and he's trying to imbue those same kind of standards into people that he sees that might need it. And so, of course, he drops them both off back where they were. He goes running off immediately because he was sick the whole time and hated it. She appreciated the experience, but at the same time, she was a little bit thrown off by Spider-Man, his new look, his perspective, the message behind that. So it was a little bit lost on him. But, you know, at the end of the day, he thought he did well. He thought he did good, and now he's back off swinging through the city, seeing if he can do any more good that night. Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man shown on a pinup right here on the last page, which I think is pretty cool. So what an interesting issue this was. I hope you appreciated that. I do love the cover of this book, extremely iconic. Again, reminiscent of that Amazing Fantasy number 15. As far as the key elements of this, I mean, obviously Black Suit Spider-Man was portrayed in the majority of this book, showing the adaptability of the suit, maybe showing a little bit of his personality changing as well, as evidenced by a couple of the scenes where he showed some anger. And it was compensated by that red tone from that dark room, things like that. Suit is very intuitive. We saw that several times inside of this issue. And again, he's kind of recovering from his trip out in the Secret Wars and trying to adopt this new perspective that he has on life and instill that in others as needed. So I thought it was a pretty good cover right there. Pretty interesting story, mainly focused throughout the entire issue, so I thought it was great. As always, I hope you enjoyed that key comic flip through. Let me know what you thought about this story down below in the comments. And while you're down there, if it's your first time here, please consider hitting that subscribe button, that like button, and check out the join button as well. But until next time, happy reading, and I'll see you all down below in the comments.